Welcome to the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast presented by the Chiefs Focus Network, where you talks about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. Without further ado, here's you.
All right, welcome to the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast, where we're covering the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. And if you've ever had to be a creative in any way and had to come up with some things, at some point you hit a mental block. And for some reason, for me, it might not have been necessarily a mental block this week, but it was definitely a block of some sort, because this week I've been planning on doing things and it just never came about. But here comes Cory to the rescue. Cory, you all know him, a co-contributor with me over at Chiefs Focus, Midwest Sports 5, correct?
Yes.
Midwest Sports 5 on Twitter. And so he came to my rescue today to help me out on this podcast. And instead of looking back to week 4, we're going to look ahead to week 5 while kind of looking back towards the last 4 weeks, because we're at, if it was 16 games, this would be the quarter mark. It's 17 games, but I still consider it the quarter mark. So I break it down into quarters, and then I say that very middle game, I just say that's the middle game, and I leave it at that. So it is what it is. I don't know. So first of all, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Excited for this weekend. It's Raiders week.
It's Raiders week. It's Marty, man. Marty put that in us, and he did a great job. So it's Raider week, and I'm looking forward to it too.
Time for some bus.
Say what?
I said it's time for some Wheels on the Bus music.
Hey, I don't think we'll ever forget that. As Chiefs fans, we'll never forget it. Although that time is gone, we will never forget that. So I think it's gonna be great. So, where should we start? Let's start with Thursday night's game. Yeah, Thursday night's game. That was the worst, one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life.
Do we even consider that a football game? I've seen baseball games, low-scoring baseball games with more action than that.
It was very, very bad, and I'm not a hater of scores that are low or defensive struggles. This was just ineptitude versus ineptitude. Like, to me, that's what it looked like. And I just was like, what are we watching here? So I kind of tuned out towards the halftime, and then I just kept tuning back in every so often just because I enjoy football. But last night was a battle of the inepts. It was a battle of ineptitude. Jeff Bezos should get his money back. At least some of his money back for having to air that on his Amazon Prime, because it was a disgrace.
That money.
Yeah, like it was very bad last night.
I think we're starting to see a trend, though. That's kind of how the Colts are going to be this year. They're going to make you play a sloppy, ugly game. They did it against the Chiefs. Now they did it against the Broncos. They just force you to play a sloppy game, stoop down to their level, and then have a chance to pull it off at the end.
And that's exactly what they did with us. When I say us, I mean the Chiefs. And that's what they did with Denver. And the thing about it is, if they could pull you down to the mud and just drag you through it with them, they'll do it. And that's exactly what they did to us, because we are a better team than them. Denver, not necessarily. I don't believe they're necessarily a better team than them. They just have better pieces, I guess, theoretically. And one thing I do want to notice that it's crazy how things change so quickly in the NFL. The Colts used to be known for that offensive line. What happened to the offensive line last night?
It's been like that all season. I think Matt Ryan is at 11 or 12 fumbles right now, like a god awful number through 5 games.
He thought he was Patrick Mahomes at one point.
But you know it's a bad game when the home fan base leaves during a tie game. Half of that stadium headed for the exits going into overtime, and it was a tied game with a chance to win it.
They understood what was going on. Fans aren't stupid. That was a bad display, man. Bad display. I expected Hackett, the head coach of the Denver Broncos, to settle into this role. I understand that there will be bumps and bruises along the way for him, you know, being the head coach. I thought he would learn on the job. He's not learning on the job, man. He's not learning at all. This is horrible.
I think they're getting worse every week. I think frustration's setting in, and a bad team is turning into a worse team by the week. I mean, you saw KJ Hamler's reaction in the end zone. He was slamming his helmet on the ground, yelling, screaming. I don't even think the players are happy in Denver right now.
And they just signed Russell Wilson to that extension. And make no mistake, he is part of the problem. Russell Wilson is part of this problem. So it's all bad in Denver. And with the new ownership, I don't know how committed I don't forgot their last name now, but Walton? I forgot their last name, but I don't know how committed they are. Huh?
I think it's Waltons.
The Waltons, that's it. I don't know how committed they are to winning in this game because they just got here. But I know they don't want to. They're not just here as a resume builder. I assume that they do want to be a team to be reckoned with at some point. I don't know about immediately, but we'll see. We will see.
I mean, I don't think they went out and spent $240 million on Russell Wilson unless they wanted to win.
You know what? That's an amazing point and a great point. I definitely think they want to win, but I didn't think it was that bad. But yeah, like you said, they didn't want to drop $250,000 to extend Russell Wilson just to lose. Let's be real.
At this point, they could have paid $230 million less and had Drew Lock do the same thing.
So many people talked about that last night. So many people talked about exactly what went on last night and said you could have just left Drew Lock in the same position to do exactly what Russell Wilson did on a national stage.
I mean,
big time.
Could it have been any worse?
I don't even want to see what worse looks like because that's bad. They're bad. And Jeff Bezos, like I said, he should be putting the NFL in the corner and making them pay him some of his money back.
You want to know the worst part?
What's that?
Broncos have another primetime game next Monday.
I forgot about that. Oh, God. Oh, come on. Because we got Monday night, right?
Yeah, this Monday. And then next Monday is the Broncos versus Chargers. They gave that team 2 primetime games in a row. I think that'll be 3 primetime games in the first 6 weeks.
It's amazing how much parity there is in the NFL. It's amazing.
Russell Wilson done hyped the national media up with all of that. Let's ride. You got everybody hyped up for him, thinking that they were going to be the team this year. I said it before. That man spent too much time practicing his fake handshakes, running into an empty stadium before games, and not time actually throwing the ball this offseason.
Oh, Broncos country. Let's ride. Oh man, that's great. But let's in the interest of time, we're gonna move forward. But that I don't get tired of laughing at the Broncos. I just don't. Sorry. But we gotta move forward because everybody's listening. Anyway, let's go to the New York Giants versus Green Bay. The Giants are 3-1. The Packers are 3-1. I don't know if the Giants stand a chance against Green Bay this week, but against this Green Bay team, I do think there is a shot for them to win. In past Green Bay teams, I'd highly doubt that. But this week, I don't know if it's just the scrappy nature of the Giants or if it's just the Packers not being exactly who they used to be. I do think that the Giants have a shot to win today, or not today, but Sunday.
To me, I think the Giants are too depleted at this point. Even if Jones comes back, I don't know if he can come back this week. Even if he's back, he hasn't played since the preseason. Sterling Shepard's out for the season now with an injury. I think for the Giants to win, they're going to need 200 yards of all-purpose yards from Saquon to win this game. Saquon's going to have to carry this team on his back if they're going to beat the Packers. The Packers are starting to look like the old Packers. Rodgers is making do with the weapons that he has. Their ground game is going with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So for me, Saquon's going to have to show out. He's going to have almost 200 yards of all-purpose yards for them to even have a chance in this game.
Now, I do not doubt that they'll have some sort of good game plan because I know the offensive coordinator used to be here in Kansas City, and I understand. Kafka fully enjoyed him. So I think they'll have a good plan. It's just, I think the Green Bay Packers, I don't think they're rolling quite yet, but this isn't the Packers that everyone expected. The record is, but this team isn't. And they can't figure out who's going to catch the ball and all that kind of stuff. And Rodgers is saying things to make him look like the ultimate team player. Who would have thought that? Who would have saw that coming? But they're 2-1 against NFC opponents. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this Packers team. This doesn't look like the Packers that I'm used to seeing with Aaron Rodgers.
Like I said, losing Davante Adams hurt them more than they thought it would. Everybody talked about how Rodgers was going to be fine without Adams, but then on the other hand was saying Mahomes wouldn't be able to deal without Tyreek, and we're seeing the opposite. Mahomes is still rolling, and the Packers are missing Davante.
And you cannot deny what you see on the screen. That's exactly what we're doing. He's missing Davante Adams, and sometimes we still got 3/4 of the way to go. But early on returns on your investment, not really getting you much anywhere. So let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the NFC South battle. Both teams are 2-2. Atlanta's actually on a 2-game winning streak. Who would have thought of that? They do. Cordarrelle Patterson's out, and he's been showing out for them recently. Their running game has been working, and then they're going up against this Bucs team that is 2-2. Tom Brady's got his off the field issues, which has never really happened in his career, and we're starting to see it take an effect on him in some capacity. It might not be the capacity that we expected, but in some capacity, he is definitely feeling what's going on off the field. Anything you see?
Well, to me, Atlanta's kind of always been Tampa Bay's kryptonite. Even when Tampa Bay was good and Atlanta